Alrighty then, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time to dive deeper into the lost wisdom of the pharaohs, of Hermetics. Wednesday wisdom. Corpus Hermeticum, the divine Pymander. Original manuscript, Hermes Trismegistus, 3rd century AD. And I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. The Corpus Hermeticum, just as a refresher, and we are bright and shiny today, but that's just fine. I figured not to worry too much about things. So, the Corpus Hermeticum is one of the primary works within the Hermetic tradition. This Renaissance-era craft is nonetheless based upon philosophical materials from far older times, namely the 3rd or 4th century AD, from which the primordial material came. Credited to Hermes Trismegistus, the divine Pymander, sometimes called Pomander, touches upon astronomy, science, nature, and a great deal of theological material. It is presented in the form of a discourse, a format which will be familiar to anyone who is familiar with Plato's Republic and some similar philosophical works of antiquity. Through his discourse with several individuals, Trismegistus attempts to draw upon the overarching philosophy of Hermetics, as above, so below. And if you've joined us previously in this series, we've worked our way through this book all the way to where we are now, chapter number 11, or book number 11, of the Common Mind to TAT. And so, let us see where the mind goes today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me once again. I love and appreciate each and every one of you that takes time to spend here with Hermes Trismegistus, or the Egyptian sage god Thoth, and me and my ramblings. So hopefully you got yourself a beverage and are comfy. The tea is wonderful, as always, ladies and gentlemen. And so, last week, we got, no, yeah, was it? I think it was last week we got from verse or line number 1 all the way up to number 23. And it took us an hour because I ramble so much. However, we're going to start today on number 23, and it's very interesting because Tot remarks here asking Tatme or Trismegistus. He says, quote, Tot remarked here, O Father, that discourse of fate, of destiny, which you told me, is in danger of being overthrown. For if it be fatal for any man to commit adultery or sacrilege or do any evil, he is punished also, though he of necessity do the work of the fate or destiny. And so it's the most amazing question posed here by Tot, saying that if we are doing the work of fate or destiny in whatever we do in our lives, and if at the same time it's a bad thing for us to be doing such things as adultery or sacrilege or any evil, then we are punished also. But how does this work if we were just doing, of necessity, the work of fate or destiny? And so he replied, All things, O son, this is verse number 24 here. All things, O son, are the work of fate, and without it can no bodily thing, either good or evil, be done. For it is decreed by fate that he does any evil, that he that does any evil should also suffer for it. And therefore he does it, that he may suffer that which he suffers because he did it. Number 27. Those 24, 25, 26. I'm not going to say the numbers of the lines every time because it gets to be repetitive, but I'll say it every now and then to let you know where we are in the reading, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see what kind of things pop up in the mind today to get me rambling. Or maybe I'll just stay focused on the text. That might be nice for once. But once again, it's all spiritual philosophy. And the reason we are here, if you're wondering or if you're just joining me for the first time, we're here to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through a greater awareness and understanding of the nature of reality, or as Hermes puts it, the nature of the things that are. And so hopefully through that awareness and understanding, we can then hopefully increase the quality of our life. And so with that being said, let us continue. Number 28. No, 27. But for the present, forsake that speech concerning evil and fate, for at other times we have spoken of it. And they most certainly have through all these other dialogues, speeches, back and forths, conversations, you could call it. It's just so amazing how in each of these conversations they touch upon so many subjects, just like they were getting at there. But Trismegistus reminds Thoth, he says, but for now, for the present, forsake or forget about that speech concerning evil and fate, for at other times we have spoken of it. In modern terms, that's for a totally different podcast. However, 28. Now, our discourse is about the mind and what it can do and how it differs, and is in men such a one, but in brute beasts rather is changed. Number 29. And again in brute beasts it is not beneficial, but in men it is. So concerning mind now, keep that in mind. Mind. What is mind? That's a great question. Leave me what you think in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen. And again, in brute beasts, it is not beneficial. So it does not benefit the animal kingdom, this aspect of mind. But in men, it is beneficial by quenching both their anger and concupiscence. Concupiscence, once again, being lust. Although that could translate slightly differently than how we think of that. I'm interested to learn more about that. However, continuing, number 30, and of man you must understand some to be rational or governed by reason, and some irrational. And at other times previously, it refers to unreasonable beings and unreasonable angers and desires, and so there is this theme of reasonable and unreasonable being connected to good and evil. I didn't want to say it that way, but that's the simplest way of putting it. Let's go back here to the front just for a refresher for us because I'm inspired to do so. It says there are several basic concepts written about and spoken of by this rather mysterious figure of Hermes Trismegistus, the Emerald Tablet fame, and the foremost and most important concept within the corpus is that good and is that of good and evil itself, where it is treated upon at length and variously, for within some of the dialogues present the premise of each section meander slightly, digressing from topic to topic, as we do here, and as this reading that we're doing today does, while remaining generally centered around the central principle of each section. Within this text, then, good is likened unto that which does not change. That was the point I wanted to get there when I said good and evil, because it can be taken differently. And so good is likened to that which does not change, and evil is that which changes. Evil is passion, but the penultimate good lacks passion for anything except for good itself. And so that also makes me think of what I learned from Wayne Dyer recently about how he doesn't believe in good or evil. It's just energies and there. And I've heard this before, like evil is just unbalanced energy, or, the word evil is just has so many connotations that it's, to me, it's not the correct word to describe these things that we are trying to describe as unbalanced energies, or and then balanced energies. The other way Dr. Dyer puts it, as things that are moving towards source, or back towards God, or harmony with Atum, the universe, mind, and things that are moving away from that by our actions, behaviors, and thoughts, and energetic ripples. However, let us continue now. In a man you must understand some to be rational or governed by reason, and some irrational. 31. But all men are subject to fate, to generation, and change, for these are the beginning and end of fate or destiny. So maybe today's topic is destiny and fate. 32. All men, I'm guessing I was referring to humanity, men and women, suffer those things that are decreed by fate. But rational men, over whom, as we said, the mind bears rule, do not suffer like unto other men, but being free from viciousness, and being not evil, they do suffer evil. Very interesting. I'm going to read that one faster again to try to understand it more clearly. But rational men, over whom, as we said, the mind bears rule, do not suffer like unto other men, but being free from viciousness and being not evil, they do suffer evil. So even though we are of a good quality, maybe, some of us, in the mind, our ability of mind is strong, and we are not ruled by the irrational nature of our animal instinctual programming and, the lower characteristics, maybe, of our human nature. However, if we are of mind, and the mind bears rule, being free from these quote-unquote evils, and being not evil, but we still do suffer it because we exist around it. That's how I'm interpreting this. Let us continue. Number 34. Tot asked, how may you this again, Father? An adulterer, is he not evil? A murderer, is he not evil? And so of others? He's like, this just doesn't make sense. I mean, if it's a paradox, and Tot is very wisely stating and questioning this paradox. It's like, if we are free from evil, but yet we suffer it, an adulterer, is he not evil? A murderer, is he not evil? And so of others. 35, he replied, but the rational man, O son, will not suffer for adultery, but as the adulterer, not for murder, but as the murderer. 36, and it is impossible to escape the quality of change as of generation, but the viciousness, he that which has the mind may escape. He that which has the mind may escape. Very deep, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to hear what you're thinking about this bit right here. Touching on, at a very deep level, these concepts of good and evil. Or what was said earlier, to be rational and irrational, governed by reason and mind or not. The rational man who is governed by mind, O son, will not suffer for adultery, but as the adulterer. How is it different there? And it is impossible to escape the quality of change as of generation, but the viciousness, he that which has the mind may escape. I'll let him continue. And therefore, O son, I have always heard the good Daemon, Daemon, say, and if he had delivered it in writing, he had much profited all mankind. For he alone, O son, as the firstborn, God, seeing all things, truly spoke divine words. I have heard him sometimes that all things are one thing, especially intelligible bodies, or that all especially intelligible bodies are one. 38. We live in power, in act, and in eternity. Therefore, a good mind is that which the soul of him is. And if this be so, then no intelligible thing differs from intelligible things. As therefore, it is possible that the mind, the prince of all things, so likewise, that the soul that is of God can do whatsoever it will. But understand well, for this discourse I have made to the question which you asked of me before, I mean concerning fate and the mind. First, if, O son, you will diligently withdraw yourself from all contentious speeches, he might be telling him, stop arguing and just listen. I know these things are complex, but just listen. So I'm going to keep reading and stop interrupting, ladies and gentlemen. If, first, O son, if you will diligently withdraw yourself from all contentious speeches, you will find that in truth, the mind, the soul of God, bears rule over all things, both over fate and law and all other things. And nothing is impossible to him, no, not of the things that are of fate. Therefore, for some reason, my mind just thought of what's the movie where he changes his stars? He changes his fate. His fate wasn't to be a noble person and, be able to do certain things that nobility did at the time. But he had a dream, and he said, I'm going to change my stars. And that was A Knight's Tale. Fantastic movie. But that made me think of what I was just saying there. If you are a man of mind and of this intelligible reason connected to God, you will find in truth that the mind, the soul of God, bears rule over all things, both fate, law, and all other things, and nothing is impossible to him, not of the things that are of fate even. 45, continuing, therefore, though the soul of a man is above it, let it not neglect the things that happen to be under fate. And these, thus far, were the excellent sayings of the good Damon. Tot said, most divinely spoken, O Father, and truly profitably, yet clear, this one thing unto me. You said that in brute beasts the mind works after the manner of nature, cooperating also with their inclinations. 49. Now, the impetuous inclinations of brute beasts, as I conceive, are passions. If therefore the mind cooperates with these impetuous inclinations, and that they are the passions in brute beasts, certainly the mind is also a passion, conforming itself to passions. Now, this is interesting, too. I was just listening to Alan Watts for a couple hours while I was getting some stuff done. And he was describing this same kind of thing, that how at our most basic function of mind is this kind of a passion or a desire. I forget what, physicist or psychologist or whoever it was that he referenced, very notable, one of the most notable over the last couple centuries, but this simple idea that mind at its most primary, uh, you know, root nature, base nature, is based off this desire, this passion, which is very interesting. As you could see, just like our ego would be very well for proliferating and keeping a species alive till you can reach a point to go beyond your basic animal instinctual survival behaviors and egoistic tribalistic kind of things dominate, and you can reach a level of mind that you can go beyond that and then really begin to hopefully get in harmony with God, with the universe, with the Tao force, the Tao force, grand organized design, God, Atum, ladies and gentlemen, the one God. Now, he 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 praises him. He says, "Well done, son. You ask nobly, and it is proper that I answer you." See, back then you had to ask really good questions if you wanted answers. Ask questions and question answers, but you better make sure your questions are really good because you may not receive the answers you want. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I ramble a lot. Hopefully, you're getting value, and I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. Let us continue. Well done, son. You ask nobly, and it is proper that I answer you. All incorporeal things, O son, that are in the body, are changeable. Nay, they are properly passions. Everything that moves is incorporeal. Everything that is moved is a body, and it is moved into the bodies by the mind. Now, motion is passion, and there they both suffer, as well that which moves and that which is moved, as well that which rules and that which is ruled. So moves and moved, ruled and rules, both seem to be different states. I like how in the beginning of that line there it compares everything that moves is incorporeal, so non-physical, non-tangible. It's like, spirit or soul or your energy signature, your essence. Everything that moves is incorporeal. So that moves, but then it moves the body, which is moved by it. Maybe. Because then it says everything that is moved is a body. So it's physical. And it is moved into the bodies by the mind, this passion that is the mind. Now motion is passion, and there they both suffer. Wonder why they suffer. That's interesting. As well as that which moves, and that which is moved, as well as that which rules, that which is ruled. 53. But being freed from the body, it is freed likewise from passion. So the mind, in its cooperation, in order with the body, causes this passion, which once again would work really well in the physical material realm for, survival of a species. 54. But especially, O son, there is nothing unchanging, but all things are changeable. But passions differs from that which is impassioned. For passion acts, but this suffers. Interesting. Passion differs from that which is impassioned. So much like that which is moved is different by that which is moving it or that which moves. Going really deep here, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Once again, I would just be doing this by myself, and I love doing it here with those of you that have joined me on this journey. It's so fun to see all of you in the premiere chats. And so a shout out to all of you. Warhorse. Warhorse always has some mind-blowing things to add in there. And so do all the others. Anon and Beat Rays yesterday. Shout out to A1 from the very beginning, back when I was just doing these every day, only getting like 10 views. It was all good. It's still all good. The views isn't the deal. But A1 would be the only one sitting there in the premieres. And so I really appreciate you all the way to today, nowadays, and all the others. Anana, and many more. Bang Chief. Salute. Now, the impetuous inclinations of brute beasts, as I conceive, are passions. And now concerning these passions, Trismegistus, or Thoth, is advising us and says that passion differs from that which is impassioned, for passion acts, but this suffers. Bodies also of themselves do act, for either they are immovable, or else are moved, and whichsoever it be, it is a passion. That one went over my head there, but I almost grasped onto it. Passion differs from that which is impassioned. Bodies also of themselves do act, for either they are immovable, or else are moved, and whichsoever it be, it is a passion. So passion seems to me it has to do with the activity, the movement, the energetic expression or action of mind within body that causes this interaction. Because remember, when the mind is free from the body, it is freed likewise from passion. But passion is this operation doing the moving? Maybe. This is just the way I'm getting it. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. But incorporeal things do always act or work, and therefore they are impassioned. Let not, therefore, the appellations or names trouble you, for action and passion are the same thing. So there he gives it to us. So back when Tat, the son here, was asking the father, he asked very greatly, and he said that is this passion that's operating in the mind of brute beasts also. Let me just reread what he said there. You said that in brute beasts, the mind works after the manner of nature, cooperating also with their inclinations. Now, the impetuous inclinations of brute beasts, as I conceive, are passions. If therefore the mind cooperates with these inclinations, and that there are the passions, certainly the mind is also a passion, conforming itself to these. And he says, well done, son, you asked nobly. But passion is, where did he say it? Incorporeal things do not always work, and therefore they are impassioned. Let not, therefore, the names of these things that we're calling passion a lot here trouble you, for action and passion are the same thing. But that is not grievous, but that it is not grievous to use the more honorable name. So passion is the more honorable name for action? Tot said, O father, you have delivered this discourse most plainly. Consider this also, O son, that God has freely bestowed upon man, above all other living things, these two, to wit, mind, and speech, equal to immortality. So, like I always say, if you're getting all of this and understanding it, then you're probably not getting it at all. And if you're having a really hard time understanding this and you're not getting it, then you're probably picking up some important things. Because I mean, so many of these are just so deep that you have to reread and recontemplate it. That's why I love re-listening to this recording while I'm watching the premiere, because I even catch things that I'm like, oh, that's what maybe that meant. So, it's one of those things. It's been interpreted and reinterpreted and contemplated and tried to be explained many, many times over many, many centuries, ladies and gentlemen. So keep that in mind when we are going through this. Now, therefore, Let not the appellations or names trouble you, for action and passion are the same thing, but that is not grievous to you, that it is not grievous to use the more honorable name. Consider this also, O son, that God has freely bestowed upon man, and above all other living creatures, these two. So God, consider this, Thoth is telling us, that God has given us these two gifts above all other creatures, ladies and gentlemen. I used to say ladies and gentlemen a lot more, but what are these two gifts? To wit, mind and speech. We are given these two gifts above all other creatures, mind and speech. What do you think about that? How does it make you feel, ladies and gentlemen? Equal to immortality. So this wisdom of the All-Master. Where is the Hermetica? There it is. Boom. Get it for yourself to put it on your shelf. Should be linked in the description below. However, we need to hear, like we always do on these series and in the whole series of the Hermetica that we also did on this channel. So if you missed that, check out that playlist. It's a good one. To the memory of Giordano Bruno. The world is a beautiful nothing. Wise words. These are the last words of thrice great Hermes. Wise words, although written by my decaying hand, remain imperishable throughout time, imbued with the medicine of immortality. By the All-Master, be unseen and undiscovered by all those who will come and go, wandering the wastelands of life, and be hidden until an older heaven births human beings who are worthy of your wisdom. And having sounded this prayer over the works of his hands, Hermes was received into the sanctuary of eternity. That's a good one, and I love it so much because it speaks to those times when this great wisdom and knowledge was wiped out and hidden, and also times that will come again when there will be a new golden age, an older heaven, when hopefully we are human beings who are worthy of this wisdom. But that medicine of immortality that shall remain imperishable throughout time, that medicine, ladies and gentlemen, I think is what we were just told about, these two gifts that we were given. That God, that Atum, the universe, grand organized design, has bestowed upon us above all other living things, these two, to wit, mind and speech, equal to immortality, the medicine of immortality. So if we can use mind and speech properly, then maybe we may reach where we are trying to go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, consider this also. These, if any man use mind and speech, or employ upon what he ought, he shall differ nothing from the immortals. Remember, it said that, I believe even in earlier texts here or in the Hermetica, that men are mortal gods, and gods are like immortal men. And so we are likened to gods. And that is what popped in my head when we just read there. If any man use or employ what he ought of his mind and speech and wit, then he shall differ nothing from the immortals. Once again, man or woman here, humanity. So rather, going out of the body, he shall be guided and led by them, both into the choir and society of the God and blessed ones. Wonder what that means in Egyptian terms rather than, because at least growing up where I have here in the West, when you hear sentences like into the choir and society of God and the blessed ones, you have all these Christian imagery and symbolism and ideas that I was indoctrinated with at an early age. But we have to remember to unindoctrinate ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Be your own guru, guide your own spirit, and master your own ascension. And once again, ask questions and question answers. If you've heard those phrases somewhere before, then you may have learned from good teachers in the past. Now, Tot said, "Do not other living creatures use speech, O Father?" So he's questioning him. He's like, wait, you said that above all other living creatures, we were given mind and speech. But he's like, wait a minute, don't dogs bark to it, and don't birds communicate to each other and all? Do not other living creatures use speech, O Father? No, son, but only voice. Now, speech and voice do differ exceeding much. So they do exceedingly differ from each other very much. You can tell the translations are a little, but for speech is common to all men, but voice is proper unto every kind of living thing. Just got an inspiration thought. It described before, I don't know if it was in this or the Hermetica, that or maybe some other philosophical, mystical kind of text, but how tables are a form of a base form that is wood, or no, maybe it was like a table is a base form, and then you can have many different kinds of tables. And everything in reality works on those principles to where there is the base form, and then there is the variations of that base model. For some reason, I felt inspired to say that at the moment. So, they do differ, yet as man is one. So voice is proper unto every kind of living thing. Tot stated, yeah, but the speech of men is different, O Father, every man according to his nation. It is true, O son, that they do differ, yet as man is one, so is speech one also. And see, then it has its many forms and variations underneath the one base form. That's what was connecting for me there. It is true, O son, they do differ, yet as man is one, so is speech also one, and it is interpreted and found the same, both in Egypt, Persia, and Greece. But you seem to be ignorant of the virtue and greatness of speech. And that makes me think of something I wrote down a long time ago, years ago, that I heard one of the radio hosts say, and it was kind of the thought that speech translates above a difference in language. And that just blew my mind. I was like, so wait a minute, our thoughts and whatever we are trying to express translates, so mind translates above any difference in language, regardless of all the different languages and the ways that things can be said and translated and interpreted differently, going back to the old Tower of Babel story, where they confused us and confounded us and gave us all these different languages, where originally we had one communication ability. I don't know if that was telepathy or, or if we were just speaking verbally with one language. But fascinating, powerful. We'll get a little bit further and then we'll save the last few pages for part 3 next week of the Common Mind to TAT. So, let's see. But in every one Egypt, Persia, and Greece. But you seem to be ignorant of the virtue and greatness of speech. For the blessed God, the good daemon, commanded the soul to be in the body, the mind in the soul, the word or reason in the mind, and the mind in God, and that God is the Father of them all. That line has been repeated many times throughout many of the dialogues in this collection of texts. And that sequence of things would be really cool to see on a diagram or a map. I got to do that one day. I mean, you could do whiteboards here on Zoom, but I have a terrible time drawing with the pointer cursor, ladies and gentlemen. I did mess around with it attempting to do so, however. Very fascinating that the soul is in the body, the mind is in the soul, the word or reason is in the mind, and the mind is in God. So it goes up, 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 and that God is above it all. Therefore, the word is the image of the mind, and the mind of God, and the body of the idea, and the idea of the soul. Wow, well, easy. He makes it sound so simple. I mean, it's just that easy, ladies and gentlemen. Now we understand how the entire universe works and the nature of the things that are. But for me, it will be many, many, many lifetimes to really get this. I feel like Hermes or uh, his son Todd going, but or no, I feel even more like Asclepius when Asclepius is going, but Trismegistus, what do you mean? Uh, Therefore, the matter, the smallest part, is air. Of the air, the soul, and of the soul, the mind, of the mind, God. And God is about all things and through all things, but the mind is about the soul, and the soul is about the air, and the air is about the matter, the physical. But necessity and providence and nature are the components of the world and of the order of nature. For of those things that are intelligible, everyone is, but the necessity of them is identity. But of the bodies of the whole, or universe, every one is many things. For the bodies that are put together and that have and make their changes one to the other, having this identity, do always perceive the incorruptibility of the identity. But in every one of the compound bodies, there is a number. For without number, it is impossible. There should be consistence, or constitution, or composition, or dissolution. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will bring us to an interesting third part. It seems like he was about to get into sacred numerology there. Dissolution, Tot said. What then is the operation of life? Is it not motion? And so they go back to that kind of discussion. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a great part 3 to save for next week. And wow, that is a boom to wisdom. That is a boom to the knowledge of the Corpus Hermeticum and the divine Pymander and Hermes Trismegistus. Also, Thoth, the Egyptian sage god. Easy for me to say. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that was amazing. And like I say all the time, it's so great to be joining you and, having somebody to do this with rather than just sitting here and thinking, these thoughts myself. Because sometimes when you try to express your thoughts in words, it gets you to a deeper place. I sometimes wonder if that's what the original philosophers were all about. was just rambling their words out to try to make sense of their thoughts. Because the challenge of getting your thoughts into words is the ultimate challenge indeed, and it challenges your very thoughts. And so if the challenge today was of mind and an understanding of mind, then let's see where now our mind goes. But once again, I love and appreciate each and every one of you that spend time here with me and Hermes Trismegistus Thoth and all the wonderful authors and poets and mystics and philosophers and sages of the ages, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through a greater awareness and understanding of the nature of our reality, so that through that increased understanding, we can hopefully increase the quality of our lives. And also, seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages and the lost mysteries of our history, because there is so much to look into that we need to start getting out there more and more so we can begin expanding and extrapolating and growing in mind. And as a collective consciousness as well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be the tide that raises all boats. So once again, love you and appreciate you. Be sure to expand the description to get this book for yourself, as well as the Hermetica. And so you can put it on your shelf so you can have it for reference. And as well, a link to my landscape paintings. I'm going to have to set up another thing so I can have one in the background still, but that's in the future. And as well, a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. Give yourself the gift of health. All right. Love you and appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Until next Tuesday, be the change you want to see. Be the example you want to set. No, 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 no.